Hey, what's up, everybody, and welcome back to Career Insights 501. And this is Dr. Loso. Today, we have a special guest on the show, Farida Abou-Elenein, and she is calling in all the way from, you said, Germany, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, nice. Well, Farida, welcome to the show.
Thank you. It's
Yeah.
great to be here.
Well, we chatted a little bit before we started recording, so I kind of got a little bit of your background already. But why don't you go ahead and just introduce yourself to all the listeners and give them a little um, insight on who you are and kind of like what you like to do, and then we can get into your educational background. So,
hmm Um, so, my name is Farida. Of course, very clearly prefer to be called by my first name. My last name is always problematic. um, and I currently just started my new firm with my partner in crime and my husband. And it is really about IT consulting and modern engineering, which has its own definition that we've put together. But it is basically helping big companies get their IT products and software where it's supposed to be and where they want to go with it, using modern tools and concepts and methodologies.
okay.
Thank you.
So, that's interesting. With that being said, do you do a lot of work just in Germany? Is all your work in Germany your consulting, or are you international with that?
So we focus currently on German corporates or German companies.
Hmm.
However, many of these corporates are either originally based anywhere else.
Hmm.
Many of them are based in America. A lot of them are based in Holland, for example, etc. And we end up either traveling with the client to wherever the teams are, but we are hired by German headquarters, so to say.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Um, so tell us a little bit about your educational background. I know when I was looking over your notes that you had mentioned that your dad wanted you to go to school for computers and AI,
Yeah,
which he was, I guess, a visionary because AI is the thing now. So.
it is. It is. So basically, my father was an architect,
Hmm.
and he worked also globally. He worked in Kenya, in England, in Egypt, overall, and he was kind of my mentor and best friend. And throughout my childhood, I wanted to be an architect like him, like a lot of
Hmm.
kids feel and do. Um, but one day I came home with the mathematics exam that I was very pleased about, after working hard at getting better at mathematics, which is one topic and subject that everyone hates, but I
Yeah.
kind of loved. And I was sitting there showing him how I answered all the questions, and he basically was impressed. And he said, "Look, I mean, in architecture, we do use mathematics, we use mechanics, we use dynamics, but it feels like you're so much more into this. And if you are, why not look at something like computing, computer science? That's the future." And this was,
Hmm.
of course, in a time where internet and computers were starting to grow very rapidly.
Hmm.
I'm talking like I'm a very old person, but it's really just what 20 years
Yeah.
ago or something like that. Um, and he said, "It seems like that might be your passion, and think about that." And I think that would be the future. And even now, as an architect, we're using 3D software to
Hmm.
draw. Maybe you would build this software, and that's your touch in architecture that you would bring.
Hmm.
That's where I ended up really and applying with him to a university in London for computer science and mathematics, basically what now is the number one way for AI development.
Hmm.
Exactly.
it's funny you say that because it does. I think for a lot of the younger generation people, when they hear us talking about, there not being in the internet and how the dial up and the AOL and all that stuff, they think that it was just so long ago. But technology really, I feel like at the end of the 90s, like going into like the late 1999s and,
Yeah.
98 and the early 2000s is when technology really started to boom because you started getting more and more households with like high speed internet DSL, which by comparison today I think is kind of like dial up. If somebody had the DSL speeds that we thought were so fast back in the day, it'd be like, I still can't download anything.
No.
But like you said, it really happened basically in the course of, I feel like less than 20 years, but I'll just say 20 years, yeah, like the early 2000s until where we're at now, and the things that we are seeing, like, self-driving cars and AI and like the chat GPT and just digital assistants, and nobody would have thought of that stuff, back in the day. Or people were thinking about it because they were developing it, but just general public, like that was just so foreign, or sci-fi movies, Star Trek, Star Wars type of stuff that
Exactly. I was just going to
like,
mention Star Trek actually, because thinking about that, I had conversations with my father when I was 12 where he was saying, you know what, one day, and he's talking about one day like, way in next
yeah.
generations, one day you'll be watching movies in hologram, And
Yeah.
and like 10 years later, it came to a museum where someone was doing like art illustrations with
Mm.
hologram, and you could go and kind of touch these figures that are on a table in hologram, like in Star Trek, and
Oh, wow.
it, back then, of course, he passed away when I was 15. Just
Mm.
before I started university at 16, and I go to London and I go to that museum and I'm thinking, damn, that was like, you were 10 years, too early.
Yeah. Yeah.
It went away because you
He could have
see
saw
what he
it.
talks about. And I'm telling you, if I learn something now, um, one programming language, for example, for AI, or data science, 3 months later, it would be old. Like
Mm.
if at some point a language is called R,
Mm-hmm.
was the thing to do. three
Mm-hmm.
months later, it was Python, and forget about R, and
Yeah,
and it's just developing so rapidly.
it is.
Um,
Yeah.
it is crazy, yes. And back then, we were still fixing cassettes with a pencil, and so
Oh my God,
back
I forgot
then,
about that. Yeah, back then.
So
Trying to
it
make
is,
sure it's like not all twisted and everything. You twist it a little bit and untangle some, and
and it will still play, and what, I'm in my 30s, I'm not 60, so back
yeah,
then, that's what you feel when you're in technology, is back then is a long time ago. It feels like it because of how it's
yeah,
developing. Yeah.
yeah. Modern technology can definitely make people in like their 30s and I think 40s feel really old because
Yes,
it's just so different, so different.
it's crazy. Exactly.
I
But
want to ask you. Oh, go
yeah,
ahead.
no, you go.
Oh, I was going to ask you, how important do you think it was to have your father in your life as a mentor, especially at such an early age?
Um, it was, I think, one of the most important things in my life, to be honest. Up until today, I think back on advice he's given, or things he said, or where I would be later in life, and maybe because he just, I don't know, he was a visionary, and probably
Hmm.
everybody talks about their parents, or everybody that has a good relationship with their parents talks about them like that they were visionaries, they were brilliant, they knew exactly what they were doing at the time, and that wasn't true, because the last 3 years of my father's life were spent really depressed and feeling like he not regretted life, but that he could have done so much more and he didn't do what he wanted. And what
Mm.
he then would come to me with is basically not to regret anything, that it's never too late to do what you want. to take risks. And then he also said something along the lines of, you will one day walk down the street with your partner in life, opening and building your own IT company. And when I come to think of it now, I'm like, well, what was it? Was it me striving for that future that made me do what I'm doing, or was it just so happened to be the future that I created? And suddenly I look back and think, wow, that you pinpointed that exact moment, and it's exactly
Yeah.
what happened in my life. And it's a thin line, and I think a lot of what I've done in life was out of that mentorship that he gave me, and made me feel like I can do anything. And
Hmm.
honestly, he always said that to me, and it's amazing what words from someone you trust and you feel secure with can do to a child. It can make them feel like they can do anything if they are
Hmm.
told that they can do anything. They really believe it, and I always believed it.
Hmm.
And I think it's one of the most important things in my life, having that friend who I respected
Yeah.
say things like that to me. Yes.
Yeah. That's beautiful. I really do think just from the little time, talking to you so far, I do feel like your dad was a visionary, just based off of what he said about the AI and computer science. And I think he might have had a unique ability to look at things, or more, I guess, be a systems thinker. And I think that's a big part of what a visionary is, able to look at, a lot of different things and how they interact and connect with each other. And I think that really helps you be able to predict, the future. But I love what you said about have a child having somebody speak those positive words into them, and being able to trust that person. And I think it has a greater impact, like you said, with a child, because with kids they don't really have anything else to think about, and that's what somebody told them that they can do, and they're just gonna go out and do it. That's all they have in their mind. And when you're an adult, you get haters or naysayers, or you just start doubting yourself as well, and you have all these other things going on for yourself. So it kind of like life, I guess, kind of gets in the way, um, for adults opposed to children. I mean, I don't have a mentor now, and that's something that I definitely need. But I think that it will be a struggle to, like, take their word and really go, because I don't know. It's just, I don't know. I think it'd be better starting out younger. And I think that maybe having a parent be a mentor is much more genuine or meaningful than just somebody who, you work with or you see and you want them to, you know, be a mentor. Because like you said, you
Mm-hmm.
have a great parent and they have your best interest, and you have that strong relationship, with them. Like there's no other bond like a parent and a child. So.
That's very true, but there is a contradictory opinion to that. For example, my father, he didn't have a mentor either. His whole family were basically telling him that him going into architecture is a must. Um,
Mhm.
he was this African man who was in a very big family, who they pushed him to be an engineer because otherwise you won't get anywhere in the world. And um, he had to mentor himself. He had to give
Mhm.
himself the words. He then moved to Europe at an age where he was still at university to do like masters in England, where he can then get his to be able to work abroad, right? But on that way, he was sleeping in streets in France,
Mhm.
doing portraits on near the Eiffel Tower. Very, very cliche, but it is true.
Mhm.
To get money to be able to find his way to England, where he would be able to study. And as a I think in America, you say African American, right? But
Hmm.
in Europe, you just say, well, he was a black man in Europe trying to get by on a passion, and he had no mentor. His family were against him doing what he was doing, and he literally ran away from that to find himself. And I think these people are the ones that end up mentoring others and trying to bring the point across to others. And that's what he did with me. And it
Hmm.
wasn't only me he influenced cousins of mine, friends of mine with words. And I think that's what you are doing to all the students you're trying to reach and the people you're trying to reach so that they can get a feeling of where they're supposed to go. Um, Maybe because you didn't have that parent as a mentor, you become the mentor. And I honestly believe that sometimes for children, it's stronger come from a person who doesn't unconditionally love you to
Hmm.
hear these words. So I think what you do or what my dad did to others was more important than what he did to me. Um, and I think losing him at an early age made it so impactful as well. You know,
Hmm.
later in life, you just think, oh, hey, dad, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But, so I honestly think it's the people that don't end up telling their children, but end up really telling other kids and other people, other young people, these impactful words. It impacts them sometimes more strongly than your own parents.
Yeah. I can agree with that for sure. Yeah, I hope that I'm making an impact on the people listening to, you know.
You do. I hope so too. It's an
These
important
shows,
thing, really.
me and my guests, I hope we're making an impact, because this thing
Yeah,
is about you all. When you come on here to give advice and, insight and just whatever and talk about your journeys and your struggles, and somebody listening might, be going through something similar, and it can maybe help them figure out how to get through that situation or
absolutely.
time in their life. So I appreciate that. Let's talk about your career. After
Yes.
you finished college, where did you start out?
Well, this is where it kind of becomes interesting.
Okay.
So after I finished university in London, I started working as a developer in a lovely, lovely small company called Straight Logic in Billericay, Essex, which is outside of London. And I was traveling from like southwest London all the way across for 2 hours a day to this little office that was basically only about 10 to 15 people,
Wow.
yeah, managed by a beautiful couple who built this company from scratch. And I loved the job because, well, I was the only girl there in the development team. But I loved the job because it kind of brought me into IT. It brought me into real work. I had a great development manager who is now a big mentor in a big company in England for young women who want to get into IT. So he was quite also had a big impact on me too. Um, but then 2 years in, I got this nagging feeling that I wanted, in fact, to follow my father's footsteps. And in fact, like I wanted to as a 9-year old, do architecture,
Mhm.
buildings. And I thought, yeah, that's what I want to do. So I kind of left IT, went back to Egypt, and started studying architecture. Um, Completely different than what I had worked on. And I studied. I at the time got married, not to my current husband, but to my first husband, and got pregnant within in the before last year of architecture, and then was thrown out of university because
Oh
I got
wow.
pregnant.
Really?
Yes, I was
Just because you
basically
got
told,
pregnant?
Yes, yes. Literally, three women brought me into the HR office and told me, you're pregnant now. You probably won't pass the exams. Basically, in between lines, telling me that I will be bad for their numbers, you know. Um,
Oh,
so, you're gonna sit home anyway. So maybe architecture is not your thing, architecture, you basically need to be on site, need to be with the workers and do the job. And I was like, yeah, I'm standing here fully pregnant,
yeah.
drawing until 4 o'clock in the morning. I'm committed. Um, but yeah, so I left and I ended up coming to Germany to do the last year of architecture here, which they allowed me to do with kind of a balance of subjects. I completed architecture, felt the satisfaction of it, and went back to IT. May not have been at the time the most realistic or understandable decision. Um, but somehow I felt like I wanted to bring creativity and technology together, and I can't do that without being in IT. And that's where I ended up again in the IT world, and specifically in IT consulting. It was a company that is an American company. It's Avanade. It's an IT consulting company that is kind of a daughter or a venture, as they call it, between Microsoft and Accenture as an IT consultant. And together they have this daughter called Avanade, and it was a great place to start in consulting. And basically, it was really cool because I hate routine. So I go from one project, meeting new people, learning about I don't know C# as a programming language to work on this kind of software, to then the next year being in test automation for a different product in a different company, meeting new people, and this was perfect because it was not routine. I don't know if bit by bit, I carried on realizing that, oh, actually, you can bring creativity to this branch, but you kind of needed the freedom to do that, and
Mhm.
you can't have the freedom to make or build your own thing, or your own concept or your own way of working, way of consulting, being in a big corporate.
Yeah.
Um, but I needed to be in the big corporate to understand that. So
Hmm.
it was good to have that experience. And that's where, in this big corporate, is where I met my now husband,
Nice.
who's in the same job, so understand the challenges about it. And we ended up deciding to leave together and maybe build our own thing. Which is when we did leave. We did find a company that wanted to build a consulting from scratch. And we thought, hey, less risk, right?
Hmm.
But we've got the capital from them. We've got the business and strategic minds from them. And we just bring in this know-how and build that consulting up, which we did for 4 years, the last 4 years, since 2018,
Okay.
which was great, but we still didn't have that freedom.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
still, every decision has to be like a board meeting and let's talk about it and can we and why. And two people
Oh
could
my
be
God.
entirely strategic, right? But if they don't know
Yeah.
what you're doing, you can't explain what you're doing. You can't transfer the know-how perfectly. So then, and that's why we decided, let's take the big risk. Let's
Hmm.
really go out and do our own company. And this is where the Modern Engineers was born. And
Hmm.
we literally started, it's not an April Fool, on the 1st of April.
Okay. Nice. Well,
Yes,
congratulations.
thank you very much.
It's funny you say that because I have a situation at work now that I only really need three questions answered to like make the thing happen. And they wanted me to do this whole write up and have a meeting and
Mm,
like send this email to another, like to the director, and then she wants to meet with the VP, and I'm just like, look, I just need you all to answer 3 questions. It doesn't take all this. I've been telling you this for the past year and a half that what we're doing isn't working, and this is why it isn't working. So why do we need to have a meeting to go over all of this? And
yeah,
I was just, I don't know. But I think it's very true what you said about you needing to be in corporate America to understand or to
yeah,
realize that you couldn't have that freedom to be creative. And I think a lot of people coming out of college or just going into corporate America, maybe from another career, if they didn't, choose the college route, have a perception that they're going to go to corporate America, and I think it might be this dream or TV fantasy job, and
exactly,
it really isn't. I was telling
exactly,
somebody else on here a couple of weeks ago that corporate America is kind of like the new like factory job. You just a cog in a wheel. Like you do this one thing and somebody else does this other thing, and you have the monotony of your job every day. So I'm kind of like you. I like doing a lot of different things. I was sitting there thinking, I was like, oh, I got a PhD. I, worked for Disney. I worked for all these different companies in these different industries. I wrote a book. I started a podcast. I can cook. I can do all this. I was like, so what am I going to do next? And so it's just kind of like the monotony of doing the same thing every day, and the whole thing about the meetings and the politics and the decisions that are out of your hand when you have knowledge of what needs to be done, but you have to get approval from somebody else or get their input, or like
exactly,
what they like to say in corporate America, the buy-in. um I was just like, this
exactly.
is
Absolutely. This is exactly what we tell also a lot of the people that we are trying to recruit. So if we have an interview and we can see it, um, our like description or job offer is is extremely interesting because we're telling you like, hey, you can be part of the company being built, right? You can have a say in it. There is no hierarchy in our company. We talk to a junior, which we don't like to like label anyone as a junior, but people who just started, we talk to
Mhm,
you and get your ideas exactly like we would get someone who is senior, who has been in the same work for so many years. And we can see how it develops because you get these people that, like you said, just come out of university, wanting this corporate job, but finding our job kind of interesting, get into
mhm.
it, and then feel like, yeah, this is cool, but I want to wear that suit, and I want to go easily and stay in the Marriott for my project. I want to feel like I'm in a team of 50 people in one
Mhm.
project. Um, and I think, and I don't end up trying to keep them. I end up telling them, or we end up telling them, go do that,
Yeah.
and we'll see you in 3 years because you go, you do
We have
that,
that
and
long.
you exactly, and you either are ending up one of them because you are that type of person who wants to
Hmm.
stay in a corporate and wants to climb that ladder, and you get those people. Otherwise, these corporates will not exist anymore, right?
Right.
And then great for you. Then you found it. Then you weren't right for us.
Hmm.
Um, or go do it. And in 3 years, they get so fed up of this politics. Exactly that. The politics, the set in their ways, the 20,000 people you have to buy in or sell your point
Hmm.
to who don't understand because they're not actually operationally working on that topic. They cannot possibly understand. You are the expert. So why don't they just believe you and give you the freedom to do it? And you need that. And that is when you're coming back to the small company that's building up that you can build it with it and who want to stay small. They don't want to end up being corporate. They want to be the small team of experts doing just that.
Hmm.
And I honestly feel like the people who are with us who have been in corporate so loyal and they bring that experience to the job. They bring the experience of being in a corporate to the job. So I honestly believe that, yes, go through it. There is nothing wrong with that. Have that dream feel
Mhm.
cool. I did too.
Yeah,
And then you'll know what you want. Either
yeah,
that or something, maybe I wouldn't call it genuine, because corporate can be genuine in a way, in your own way, but I would call it then maybe more down realistic and,
yeah,
focused maybe.
yeah. I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
I so how many, I guess, people are in your company right now?
Well, that is a very political question. No, I'm joking. We are currently in transition. So when we built the company and the people and the team, you'll understand why I made the joke now. Because we were 4 years in a small company where we actually wanted to build it right the way we're doing now. But again, weren't able to because we had other people that were in the decision making with us, and who weren't in the job properly in our branch. Um, and we built a team in that company. And when we said, well, we're leaving to build our own company, we were shocked and surprised that literally every person in that team was like, okay, we're coming with you. And we were like, oh my God, but that wasn't the plan. And
Mhm,
we can't be taking you away from that company. We hired you for that company. But they are their own people, and of course they made their own decisions, and they were like, no, but we came because you two, with your ideas and your passion, convinced us of the path we
mhm,
want to take, and that's the path we want to take. We're not
mhm,
paying for the name of the company. We're hired by the people, and we want to stay with those people that hired us.
mhm.
And they are currently now coming one by one to us, and
Nice.
by the end of this year, we will be a small team of 10,
Okay.
and growing and already hiring two new people along the way. So it's we like staying small, and we're very happy about that, because I
Mhm.
think the team we found are just
The dream
perfect.
team. Yeah,
Yes, it's just it's a perfect team. They have the character and the knowledge. Put that together, and you're gold.
yeah. Mhm.
So it's
That's amazing.
yes,
What
it is.
what have been some of the struggles for you starting your own business, being an entrepreneur?
Hey, this is Farida Abou-Elenein, and you're listening to Career Insights 501 with Dr. Loso. Ooh, yes. Um, the sudden, one big thing was the sudden realization that you are responsible for people's life. I mean, if we don't do it right, they don't get paid. So either
Mhm,
they are out of a job, or they don't have money for their family, and it's a responsibility that when we were in that small company, like Zoom, which we were in before we started the Modern Engineers, you shared that with the CEO and the founder and the investors, and you had that safety that if we screw up 1 month, or 1 year, that they will support us.
mhm,
Um, and currently, if we screw up 1 month, we're we're we're, we're devastating um, um, our team, and we're letting them down. And that realization was one big struggle. The second struggle was honestly leaving a company that um, provided us these safe 4 years.
mhm,
You want to leave happily. You want to leave with a good feeling and a good cooperation afterwards. And it's difficult to keep that if you leave, because it feels like you're destroying the loyalty, or you're destroying your relationship with these people. But also then when the rest of the team decide to leave with you,
Yeah.
um, you're like, oh goodness, okay, you guys are not making it easier for us. But this was a second struggle, and the third one was definitely finding the capital for it. Our private life had to suffer quite a bit, and we were living quite well, and all of a sudden you are basically going into the little piggy bank and trying to find some change to go and have lunch with someone, and it feels like, am I doing the right thing here?
Hmm.
But honestly, take the risk, because
Yeah.
2 months
Because
or three
I
months
always
of
go back to a
struggle and
corporate, one of those corporate
counting your
jobs.
pennies is really worth it in the end.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, we
yeah.
got a little lag there, and I was saying, you could always go back to the corporate job.
Yes, that's very true. And that was
Yeah.
something that is also a good thing about starting in a corporate, right? Because the corporates are all about numbers and about
Hmm.
people who they had already before, because you've gained the knowledge, they know who you are, they don't need to risk a new employee by kind of saying, oh, we don't know if that person will do well on projects, especially in the consulting job. So
Hmm.
they love the safety of someone they already know. And as we left, we were both told that the door is always open if we need to come back. And yes,
Oh,
we will
nice.
have to step on some pride. Don't pride. We failed. We're back.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you don't end up where you left off. They will take into consideration the experience you've had, and then you can fight and sell yourself a lot more
Hmm.
with the experience you gained, which is something you have to do in corporate. And when you start out in corporate, you're not too good at selling yourself
Yeah.
very much. So it is, yes, a safety net. That's true. But we'll be damn sad if we have to do that.
I can imagine. So on the opposite side of that, and I think you've mentioned quite a few already, at least in my eyes. But what are some successes that
Successes.
you, yeah.
Um, I think one major success that I find is something a lot of people struggle with, is enjoying what you do. Um, I've come to enjoy so much what I do that I start to get annoyed by people complaining about their job, that, oh, I have to
Hmm.
work tomorrow. I'm like, yeah, okay. Waking up early is not my thing. So Mondays is usually me going, oh, I'm so tired. But but I love to sleep in. But if I wake up at 11 and think, what do I do now? I still feel like, no, I'd rather do my job. And a lot of people don't do that and don't feel that. And I think the only way to feel that and do that is to take risks to change when you feel like you need to change. And yeah, okay, if you end up being 38 and just found the dream job of yours, it's still an awesome success story. Um, and you heard, I started off as a developer. I thought that's exactly what I wanted, but it wasn't. It was so routine. You're creating code, but it's repetitive in a development world. Unless you're a game designer, and even if you're a game designer, you're still a part of a number where you're, just writing a line of code, and it's quite repetitive.
Hmm.
Um, at least that's how I found it. And then I was like, nah, I'll be an architect, and go to architecture school and try that. And well, that is not a quick decision. That took 5 years of my life.
Yeah.
Do I regret it? Sometimes I think, oh, what if I started sooner? Maybe I would have been more successful now. But I feel like the success is better to focus on that and to focus on the fact that I enjoy my job. Um, and waking up every morning thinking, oh, I've got this to do and this to do. And yes, some days you think, oh, but that enjoyment is still the general feeling. And that's a
Hmm.
big, big, big success.
Yeah.
Um, A second, maybe a second success is um, feeling like if, and again, I go back to my father. Yes, he was a big impact in my life. If he were alive, he would be proud. And that
Nice.
feeling, without having to struggle for it,
Mm-hmm.
um, but knowing that as a teenager or as a younger 20, you'd feel like, okay, maybe he wouldn't be too happy about what I'm doing right now. um, the feeling of actually, no, he would be like, way to go, girl,
Yeah.
is already something awesome. And my mother is very proud, and my brother is extremely proud. And him telling me that is a big thing, because he has a lot of pride too. And when he comes and tells me, his 9 year younger sister, there's 9 years difference between us, that
Oh wow.
you're doing so awesome, and I'm so proud of you. Oh, that's a compliment, because it's your brother, right? So these are two things that I find are big successes.
Nice.
I have to mention one more.
Okay.
Um, I was poor. I
Mm.
mean, poor. Where we had to count the pennies to get food, and it was my mother and me, and my brother was in Holland and trying to find his life, and we were in England trying to find ours, and it was really tough. And for years that I thought it would never end and I would never be comfortable, let's say, um, I struggled. And to have the enjoyment of a job and to be able to not worry whether my card will work when I need something, except the last 2 months, um, was a success. And it's possible. It is really possible. Except the last 2 months.
That is definitely a success. I love the first one. About enjoying your job. I think that is almost the success in life, just because we spend so much time working. There are a lot of other more significant, like finding that special person to spend the rest of your life with, kids and all that stuff. But
Or,
just as far as careers, man, I'm telling you, that's rough to go to a job every day that you don't like. So
yeah,
and a lot of people unfortunately aren't able to ever reach, that point in life where they go to their job and they can say that they at least like it, not even
yes,
necessarily love their job. But so yeah, congrats on that.
thank you.
But it's funny about the pennies thing. Not that you were poor. That's not funny, but
No, no, wasn't.
I know it's just like me, like when I was thinking about my book, because back, I mean, 10 years or so, that with the hashtag "the struggle is real" or "the struggle bus,"
Yeah.
that's where I got the title from my book, "The Struggle is Real: From College to Careers." And because for a lot of people, there is a struggle, going to college, figuring out what they're going to major in, finding a career, like it's hard out there. But
It
there
is.
are so many other struggles along the way with that. I remember there were times where I would go out with friends and they would have to, pay for my meals or share. And I was like, I'm broke. I
Yes,
was like, I go, but I don't have any money to buy anything. I
yes,
was like, I'm perfectly fine with just going and ordering a water or like a Sprite or something and get refills and go back home and call it a day. But so thank God I had, some
yeah.
great friends in my life, but it's a struggle trying to get there. Even
That
now,
is true.
yeah.
That is
So
very true. That reminds me of my university friends, Selda or Minne or Ravi. These people that were, yeah, we would go out, we would have fun. We would go to tea shops or to nice restaurants sometimes, and it was like a role. Like, of course, we were working part time while at university, right?
mhm.
And you're working what you get, like back in the days, I would get like 400 euros a month, right? But I'd already have to pay 300 euros to university because it's an EU system, but it's much cheaper than America. I
Yeah,
noticed. Um, but it was still already a struggle, right? And
right.
And then you'd have these friends, and you'd rotate. Like this week, he's totally broke, so we're paying
Yeah.
everything for her. Like next week, like you pay a little bit, and we're talking €2 or $2, as to say, But it was still, the value of the money is crazy when you
Yeah.
don't have it. This
Yeah.
€2 or $2 in your pocket is so valuable.
Hmm.
And that's one thing that you'll never lose. No matter how much you don't think about the money when you're going to the supermarket, you will think each time that you don't have to think about the money when you're going to the supermarket.
Hmm.
That
Yeah.
is the people that struggle.
Yeah.
They go there, they're like, I'm so thankful that I paid this. Like, oh my God, it works. So awesome that it works, the card. So it is,
Right.
it is a thing. It is a
Yeah.
thing. And
Yeah.
yeah.
Like checking your account to make sure like you have enough money before you go, and like calculating in your head like, okay, I think I got just enough to get by with 53 cents left in my account after I'm done swiping the card.
or
Um,
or going to the cash machine, or I think ATM, right? To take the money out, because the money in your hand is sure
yeah,
going to be available, right?
right.
Card is never sure. It is real.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, but that's true. That is a big success. It's true.
I just wanted to say, like talking about the struggle, but I really think that, you being so open and honest about, like your dad's journey and, him having, being poor, and having to do the portraits and stuff to help find his way, and, like your story. I think that's really important, especially nowadays, because with the internet, everything is just like instant. And I think you get these influencers on here and say, hey, you got $5,000 invested in real
Oh,
estate or crypto, and people think that it's going to be just like an overnight success. And even when they look at celebrities and stuff, they don't really realize all of the work that it takes to get to be on top. Like I'll just use Beyonce for an example because she's like
woo.
world renowned. But like if you know Beyonce's backstory, like she and Kelly and the rest of the Destiny Child were out there working, hustling fought really hard ever since they were like little girls, and it finally
Absolutely.
paid off like 15, 20 years later. So it wasn't. And Beyonce, she didn't even, she still had to grind and hustle with Destiny's Child to become the big sensation that she to become Beyonce.
Yeah,
So she didn't even have that superstardom that she has as a solo artist when she was with a group. And typically when you leave a group, you don't blow up. But Diana Ross did it, but typically it's better when the artist stays with the group than when they try to go out solo.
absolutely.
So it
Well,
it
hear
it
about it. You just named two. And I can only think of three at the moment, but like Beyonce, Diana Ross, like you said, and Michael Jackson. I mean, these
yeah, he was
three,
gonna
and
be
they
my
are
next.
three legends, right? I mean,
Right.
and three that were in groups and left, and they have to be legends to be able to. And
Right.
but people don't understand what's behind the legend. It
Hmm.
really is the hard work, and even more important than the hard work, consistency.
Yeah.
Because even if you're going to invest money, even if you're going to go that way, some people are good at it. And I know
Yeah.
people that are awesome at investing, but whoa, you have to be consistent in the down and in the high.
Hmm.
And it is still hard work. These people that end up investing, it's yes, it is just money moving from one place to another, and then it gets either lost or you get better at it and higher at it. And the more experience you get, or the more knowledge, or how quick you are, but that takes you being on top of it 24/7, and it's really hard
Yeah.
work. So yeah, it's just moving money from one place to another, but hey, it's not easy. It is
Yeah.
still
It's not.
consistency
Yeah.
and hard work. Otherwise, you'll get what, €2 more. Woo hoo for you.
Right.
I mean, so yes,
Yeah.
agreed. People don't
And I know
understand that.
we talk about celebrities. They get mentioned a lot because they're the most top of mind, readily
Of course,
available that we think about and see. But there's just a lot of other people like in tech and medicine and just education that are really devoted their lives to the greater humanity. But I don't think a lot of people really understand the sacrifices that it took for those people to become great? Because like you say, the consistency, like if you think about Michael Jordan and how much he had to practice,
Yeah.
and like even you starting your own business and, maybe saying, hey, I can't go out tonight, even like when I'm trying to do my thing and I was like, I'm working. I think a lot
Yeah.
of times people just think that I'm trying to blow them off, but it's really, sometimes
Yeah.
I just need to take a brain break, I don't want
Absolutely.
to go out. So,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've lost a lot of friends from just not calling or not
Hmm.
keeping in touch. But come on, if you're in calls all day, you don't want to be calling in the evening as
Yeah.
well. So yeah, a brain break. And yes, celebrities are in the forefront. Hey, I use Beyonce for most of my examples. I'm really glad that you use her. People think I'm worshiping her by now. But she is. But that's exactly that. And what I love about her as well is she's not only working hard, was poor, and a minority in both
Hmm.
gender and race, but
Right.
he's also married to an extremely famous person who he was able to decouple from, but still be a
Yeah.
couple, and
Hmm.
that is
That's hard.
tough.
Yeah.
And for
Cause,
both of them to be that self-secure and self-independent, they
hmm.
can do that without this jealousy is a perfect example of what you need to do in your private life too for
Hmm.
work, as to say.
Yeah.
And my husband and I are in the same job. Sometimes he's a hero, and I'm sitting there going, "You're a hero again. Okay, you're great." It's difficult not to feel this little tinge of I could have done that.
Yeah.
So imagine he's winning Grammys and he's like 8 Grammys and I still didn't win.
Yeah.
And it's a struggle, and it's
Hmm.
important to have someone that is supporting you and understanding your job. I don't believe in you should be with someone who's not in the same job so that you can have the freedom. Um, that's not true. In fact, the more aligned you are on your work career, the more the other person understands what you're doing.
Hmm.
The more you can understand why this person is taking too much time here or that person has to go and travel there, and the more you might support each other. Um, and I think I have 2 points in one here, which is kind of a bit of a loss. But this this the struggle of having this success and being decoupled as an independent person and as a minority in this world is as important as being coupled in your relationship and supporting each other with that. That is not to say that if you're not in a relationship, you can't do that. In fact, it
Hmm.
could be easier. That's what I'm trying to say. It might even be easier as a person on their own doing their career
Hmm.
than someone who is having to be in a relationship with two people trying to build a career. Um, and with this needs to be this new skill of decoupling. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah.
And that's why I respect, for example, as an example, Beyonce very much because of that
Yeah.
ability that she was able to do together, not
Hmm.
alone, together with JayZ.
JayZ. Yeah. I,
Now
I
talk
I
about me.
love the decoupling part because I think so many times when a successful woman marries a successful man, she kind of is, I don't want to say, how can I put this, is assimilated to him, or he's on the top and it's like um
Absolutely.
Beyonce, I mean JayZ's wife, kind of like Brandy and Ray J. They would always say Brandy's brother. Like Ray J didn't really get his own.
Yeah,
Like he didn't even have a name. He was just Brandy's brother back in the day.
exactly.
So I think that that happens a lot of times. In reverse with women when they marry a successful man, just because of the world over how women are typically viewed compared to men. So
Absolutely.
she had to be a force of nature to be. I think has more notoriety than JayZ at this point.
I think so. I would believe it absolutely. Um,
I
um,
I think so. Yeah.
yeah,
Like.
but but it is systematic, and it's not only it's a lot more for women in North African countries.
Mm-hmm.
At least those are the ones I know and have experience with. Is in the Middle East, you are, and Egypt, yes, Egypt is part of the Middle East. You are not only in a jokey way, kind of people, so many people, literally everyone that met me saying, oh, since I'm 9, oh, why are you studying? You're going to be sitting at home cooking and cleaning anyway,
Mm-hmm.
and they make it as a joke so as not to create conflict, but it is something that is systematically integrated in your life constantly. I myself didn't make jokes like this, but I myself believed that I can't be more successful than a person I'm with,
Mm-hmm.
especially if that person is a man. I,
Mm-hmm.
I can't be more successful. It'll hurt his pride, and then it'll cause problems in the relationship, and then I don't need to. Um, and without even knowing things around me, like this university thing, I at that
Mm-hmm.
point didn't see it as sexist. At that point, I thought I have to convince them that I can take care of myself and I can do
Yeah.
it. I was young, and only
Mm-hmm.
as you grow older, or at least as I grew older in a foreign country, when I call foreign country, I mean Europe, not a Middle Eastern country, um,
Mm-hmm.
then I start to notice, oh, wait a minute. No, it's not really true. Yes, okay, we don't need to physically be able to lift this and have muscles, and if
Right.
needed, do that or the other. But physiologically, not. But in the concept of me being a CEO and my husband being a CEO, and we both have our separated responsibilities for the company, without question,
Mm-hmm.
is what I think everyone should be targeting.
Yeah.
Someone that is not, um, um, what is the word, threatened
Mm-hmm.
by
Yeah.
a success of someone else. And this decoupling is where it's very important. And if a woman has to actually push it in her relationship, then she should. And if that breaks the relationship, it kind of wasn't the right one for her.
Yeah. I agree. So I want to take it back a little bit here,
Yes.
and ask you what would be some advice that you would give to a young listener, or just at any age, but somebody maybe getting out of college who's looking into getting into consulting at a big company.
Okay. So may I kind of separate it into two things? What
Sure.
I would advise people, especially if they're young, um, in general when it comes to career, and
Okay.
what I would advise them in general when it comes to a career in a big company in IT consulting, or in a
Okay.
company in IT consulting. So the first
Yeah.
one, I would say, take the risk. Take the risk. Yes, okay. A year when you are 19 feels like it's just a year. And a year when you're 38 feels like, oh my God, I'm losing my life. But whether you want to spend that year doing, I swear, doing something else, um, take that risk when you're 19, take that risk when you're 38. Um, if it ends up being a mistake and you take a step back and you lose that year, you
Mm-hmm.
don't really lose that year. You end up using that year for the next step. And it's so important because kids are so adamant about correctly finding their career. And is that going to be the one for the rest of my life? Maybe not.
Mm-hmm.
Accept this idea that maybe not. And maybe you change. Maybe you change your whole education. And a 60-year-old guy in my university who is doing a foundation year to start medicine at 60 is proof of that. He was like, nah, I want to be a doctor.
Wow.
After, yeah, I mean, so no, take the risk and don't worry. about regret or time lost. It will be worth it, even the time you think you may have lost. That's in the general advice. The advice about IT consulting, or software development consulting, or there are so many branches in IT consulting. It's okay to start corporate. It's a good idea to start corporate, in fact, because you get the chance to maybe try the different branches. IT consulting companies are very much about training. They provide you with training opportunities, big or small companies. They provide you with advice and career managers that sit with you, have one-on-ones with you, and talk to you about what are your interests. Is development, pure development your interest? Is management consulting your interest? Or is maybe AI your interest, or is process management your interest? Any of these things, they help you. So go do that. Find a company, whether small or big, in IT consulting that provides training, whether it's a budget of training or whether it's, and a mentor, a counselor, a career manager. All of these are words that are being used in IT consulting for the people that guide you along your way in the career. And they very often do that. Find that company and take this advice. Talk to these people. If the person isn't right for you, find another person. You can ask to change this person in the company, and find your passion. And ladies or girls, IT is not a scary thing. It's a very creative, brilliant thing that you are 100% capable of doing. And I would love to see more of you as well coming to this branch, and coming to it through an IT consulting company is one of the best ways, because you can always start in kind of a management position, managing an IT team, and then get into the topics and figure out what you like. So even if you have no basic knowledge of programming, you might end up being able to train yourself on one in an IT consulting company while being on a project. So these are the two things. Maybe it's not one advice, it's three, but I hope that's okay with you.
Yeah, that's fine with me. The more the better. I'm glad you said that though. Do you think that like tech jobs scare away a lot of women?
Yes,
Yeah.
especially consulting jobs, because
Hmm.
um, from a childhood age, you are taught that you are playing with dolls and boys are playing with cars. You are loving design, and you are a very design and marketing person, and guys are more techy, geeky, nerdy. They
Hmm.
like Star Wars, you like Holiday or whatever it is called, the movie. Um, you know, I think it's called that. I don't know. But that is basically what they feed you from kindergarten,
Hmm.
shockingly, which I found out with my first daughter. Shockingly, they introduce you to that. What are you doing? Oh, you want to play? Come, here's the doll section, because you're a girl. So it's built into you that something like STEM, which is very much
Hmm.
male dominant, starting to have a lot more women, or girls, sorry, but it is branching in that. So they automatically, systematically, just start growing up towards something else and away from IT, except those few who are rebellious, who
Hmm.
are very strong-willed and maybe at home being told you can do whatever you want. And maybe what a mother that is maybe showing interest in that, or doing something like that. And they're very few. And IT consulting specifically, because it involves a lot of travel. Since pre-corona, you are traveling more than 80% of the time. From Monday to Thursday, you are at projects working on site at the clients, with which I don't know how it works in America, But here in Europe, it would be like a completely different city. Sometimes Germany is much smaller than America, but it's a different state where you
Mm-hmm.
would travel to and work there. You would fly maybe for an hour to get to your job and Thursday fly back. And a lot of women are like, oh no, I can't leave the kids. What if I get married? What if I have children? I can't travel 80% of the time. Now it's becoming a lot more home office style, giving a chance to women who feel that way, which is an absolutely valid way to feel if that's what you see as important, and giving them a chance to get into it as well. So look for a remote consulting job in IT. Yes, we are minority in IT.
That's like you got me thinking because like when you talk about the dolls, I think it's just an old world and these old traditions of a male female role because I think about it's like, well, they don't give boys like dolls or whatever you want to call them to teach them how to be like good dads. Basically,
No,
they're teaching. I was like, because it's kind of weird if you think about it. You're giving a little girl a baby doll and a bottle and diapers and teaching her how to do
yeah,
these things instead of just regular everyday human things or job related things. Like you don't get a boy a baby doll and say, hey, learn how to change this diaper or how to properly hold the baby in the bottle, and it's just
absolutely.
it's so crazy. When you actually like kind of like think about the conditioning behind it, like you're saying.
I think we're the
Um,
last generation that have been conditioned like this. The new generation is going to be unstoppable, I'm telling you. They are
yeah,
fighting all of these traditions.
they are. Yeah, so that's pretty amazing. It's like okay,
Yes.
the boy can play with a doll, the girl can play with the
Yes.
fire truck.
What's your problem? Yeah, exactly.
Exactly, it's my kid. Don't
Exactly.
worry about
Force it.
it.
Here, play with a doll. Yeah, it is quite inclusive at the moment. So it's really
It
good. I'm
is.
I'm loving where it's going.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you. I know it's late there, and I don't want to keep you too
No,
much more longer, but
I'm having fun. I'm awake now.
yeah,
Good conversation.
this has been great. I've really enjoyed it.
Me too.
But is there anything that you wanted to say that we haven't talked about yet? I mean,
Um,
we talked about a lot.
we did. We even touched up on Beyonce. I mean, I never thought that would happen. Uh, I wanted to talk about her all the time, so I don't mind. Um, no, what could it be? Maybe, I mean, I don't know. I feel like maybe just as an addition to what we just talked about when it came to women in the job, I was a single mother in the job. I was a married woman with my child in a job, and I was pregnant on this job, and I have now a 11-month-old baby on this job. And with the right support, so when I was a single mother, I had my mother as a very massive support. Um, you can do anything, and I haven't missed things of my child. I have been traveling Monday to Thursday on many weeks during me being a single mother. Um, and I feel like I missed so much, but um, it was not a disaster. And I think that is something I would love to add and to say that mm, it is a struggle, it is difficult, but if you have fun with your job and if you have passion for that job, please do it,
Hmm.
and please find the people around you that support you with that. Um, because the biggest thing, the problem you will have in life is regretting something in your life. And I feel like I take risks because I don't want to regret things in my life. People don't want to take
Hmm.
risks because they don't want to regret, but I take risks because I don't want to regret
Yeah.
not doing that. I hate the coulda, woulda, shoulda attitude or what if.
Right.
That would be a regret if I ever had to say what if. And
Yeah.
please don't bring yourself, all of you kids, boys, girls, them, don't get to the point where you don't bring yourself to the point where you have to say, what if I had taken that step?
Hmm.
Do it.
Yeah.
No matter what, it works out. Everything passes, every struggle passes, and it works out in the end. That's
Yeah.
just maybe one thing I wanted to say.
Okay. So I do like to play a little game and ask some more laid back questions on the podcast. So, the first thing that I typically ask is, what are some things that you do for self care?
um, um, okay, I can mention some. I love to
Okay.
I know that might be a usual thing, but it's less controversial than what I would have said. But I love to travel because my father, again, as an artist, used to say that your brain needs different lighting. It needs,
Mm,
forget about only different air. You can get that by taking a walk outside. But it needs different lighting. And if you notice the sun in different positions around the world, whether it's nearer to the equator or further away, is a different lighting. And
mm,
you flourish with these different perspectives and seeing different cultures, really being in it and not just on a touristic, I just lie on the beach and have fun for a week. No, that is not relaxing. It's relaxing to
yeah.
see something different and experience something different. That is one thing. Um, Another thing is be lazy. Um, I need to be lazy.
I feel you.
I need to just lie on the couch, honestly, for just a weekend and not do anything. Literally binge watch something or eat all the chocolate that we're hiding away from our children and then, and then not tell them that I ate it all, you know. Um, honestly, just be lazy and not feel guilty about it.
Yeah.
That is awesome. That feeling. And I think these two things I would do for self care for sure.
Okay. So, what are you listening to when you're working? Do you listen to music when you work?
I do.
Hmm.
It is usually, strangely enough, either R&B or hip hop. Um,
Okay.
because I have to listen to something I know to
Mm.
concentrate on something. If I try to be cool and listen to some classical music, I get distracted because I'm like, oh, sounds all right, you know, because I'm not used to listening to it constantly. Um,
Yeah.
so yes, sometimes I do listen to music, and if so, then it has to be my genres or the genres I listen to most. I listen to all genres, but these are the two I listen to most. And, another thing that everyone around me finds completely crazy is I actually have a series playing in the background while I work, and I can actually really concentrate. Um,
Oh, I do the same thing, like a TV series.
yeah,
Yeah, but it has to be something that I've already seen. Like if it's something
exactly.
new.
Friends, or you know, or The Wire. I don't know. Something to just
Oh, I
in the
just finished The
background.
Wire.
It was good, isn't it?
It's so good. I think this is HBO's best show.
I
People are
think
saying
it
The
is.
Sopranos, but The Wire was a lot better than The Sopranos to me.
No, 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 no. Sopranos. Mm-mm. The Wire was really amazing. My husband is the
Yeah,
one that told me you gotta watch it. Yeah, please watch it. You know, and yeah, it's good.
yeah, it's good. It's so good.
Yeah, it really is.
What?
It's, yeah.
Yeah.
So I
But
would have that
that's
playing in the background, and work, and I'd be
yeah,
totally fine with that.
yeah. That's so funny because I'm the exact same way. Like I tell people, I was like, I listen to TV. I might like look up at it every
Yes,
now and then, but I don't like really watch TV.
there's
Not while I'm
something
working.
so relaxing about feeling like you're watching the series and can just distract yourself for a few moments to look at it. It's
Yeah.
like a break. It's like your brain having a break, and then
Right.
it feels relaxing. It feels like you're not sitting in a cold setting. You know, you're sitting
Right. Yeah.
perfect. I agree. Finally found someone who does the same thing.
I do it all the time. The only time I might watch something new is if it's on the weekend.
Yeah,
I would have to say when I was watching like The Wire and The Sopranos, I was watching it throughout the week after work. I would go and watch like two or three
absolutely.
episodes. I was not being as productive as I should have been. But I was like, what's going to happen next?
Well, you
The
can't
Wire,
watch
man.
The Wire for the first time while you're working. I mean, that's
Yeah,
an
you can.
insult, I think. It's like
Yeah.
watching Breaking Bad when you're working. It's also
Right.
an
Yeah.
insult.
Yeah.
It's not good.
Let me ask you this: what was your favorite season of The Wire?
I think the second one.
The second.
Yeah, because the
It was.
first one, it took me a while to get into, to be very honest with
Mm-hmm.
you. Like The Walking Dead. It took me quite a
Mm,
while to get into it. It was feeling like I had to watch the first couple of episodes like 5 times to really think like, is it something I really want to watch? Is it not going to be depressing? Is it,
mm-hmm.
oh goodness, it's just about, drugs and the struggle and all of that.
Yeah.
And am I going to be, but then the second season, I think, not because it's the best in what happened, but it sucked me in. And I think because it sucked
Mm,
me in the second season, that was it. That's
gotcha.
basically where I got attached and stuck on it.
I felt the same way about The Wire. Like that's why it took me so long to watch it, because I thought it was just going to be like another black people and poverty and drugs and gangsters, and I was like, I don't want to watch
Exactly.
any more of this crap. But it was really, really good. The fourth season was my favorite because I worked at the Boys and Girls Club, so like I love like working with kids and helping them out and stuff, and like seeing the struggle of the kids in the fourth season. Like I was in there crying. I was like, this is
Yes,
kids,
yes.
but yeah, so it was
I don't.
really good.
This might not be the right comparison, but as a child watching, oh my goodness, what was the movie that Coolio sang "Gangsta's Paradise" for?
Oh,
What's called "Gangsta's Paradise" as well, wasn't it? No.
no,
Is
it
this
was something high. I think it wasn't Cruel Intentions.
don't remember, but this awesome actress playing and as a teacher in this
I can't
black
remember her name. Was it
dominated
Nicole
school.
Kidman?
No, Nicole Kidman. No, oh my goodness. Oh, I'm leaving now this podcast. Um, my goodness, it was Griffith, Melanie Griffith. Wasn't it? No, it wasn't Melanie Griffith. My goodness. Um, I have to
Trying to
Google
look
it
it up
now.
now.
Yeah, me too. Gangsta's Paradise.
Dangerous Minds.
And who
Michelle
was
Pfeiffer.
Michelle? Thank you. Meredith Griffith, Michelle Pfeiffer.
I'm
Um,
sorry, Michelle Pfeiffer.
yeah, I'm really sorry, Melanie Griffith. Michelle Pfeiffer, and it felt like, is this being redone? I mean, is it now going to
Yeah.
be now instead of this white teacher coming to this black school, it's going to be these black
Mm,
police officers dealing with the black kids who are struggling, and it's an important topic. But do I? This depresses you, right? I mean, it really makes
yeah.
you feel like, oh God, how can this happen in the world? And do you want to watch that on a weekend? When
Right.
you want
Yeah.
to relax and be lazy? But it was so worth it. It was really worth it.
Um,
Yes.
this is my last thing I'm going to say about The Wire
Go
because
on.
we've had a whole podcast about it. But the writer
Beyonce
or
and The
the
Wire.
exactly.
Perfect podcast.
I was researching it, and it was saying that the producer, or I think it might have been the writer, he wanted to make it like a Shakespeare tragedy. He wanted to give the characters impossible choices to make in the show. And I was like, damn, like after I
Whoa.
watched this series and I watched it, I was like, that's so true, because it was kind of like, I get why they did what they did, but at the same time, it was like wrong, so like it was just like,
Wow.
yeah.
I have to rewatch it now, right? With this in mind. Damn it. Here I thought I could find a new series after watching you.
I posted about it
Damn.
on Facebook, and one of my homeboys was like, "Nah, Carlos, thanks to you, I gotta go and rewatch The Wire."
You, you know?
Yeah,
Crazy. Okay. Yeah,
yeah,
that would be something interesting, because then you would kind of watch it with that mindset, and you probably would
mm-hmm,
notice things that this is
right,
one of those series, right? You would notice things that you wouldn't have noticed before or the first time, and you have to kind of rewatch it to get a few of the
yeah. I
stuff.
can't think of his name now, but the gay guy on there, he reminded me of the Candyman. Like he would be whistling and he would walk with the black jacket on, and He reminded me of like a horror movie kind of aspect to the movie because he would never get killed or like shot or anything. So I hate if I'm doing any spoilers on here about The Wire, but that's what he reminded me of, like the Candyman.
Yes,
It's like,
yes.
yeah,
There were a few. There was also one guy who reminded me of a lawyer, one police officer who kind of the way he talked and the way he dealt with the situation felt more like a kind of a suit situation than
yeah,
anything else.
yeah.
Um,
I think I know who you're talking about. I can't remember. Was it the older black guy?
he was an older black guy, and he is the one that in the first season kind of used to come and visit these kids that were on the block and kind of talk to them about what they're
Oh,
doing.
yeah.
And he really felt like the kind of the devil's advocate of the whole thing.
Mm,
Um,
mm-hmm.
wow, we can't remember the names, but we know what we're talking about. I don't
Right.
think
Yeah,
anyone else
yeah. I know who you're
listening
talking
to the
about.
podcast would, but but yes, it has a lot of levels that you, and
It
I
does.
loved
Yeah,
it. Yes,
yeah.
absolutely.
I'm going to ask you 5 would you rather or this or that questions to see
Go on.
what you would pick. Would you rather have your choices made by other people or have your choices made using a randomized method?
Oh boy, I would rather have my choices made by a randomized method.
Okay.
Um, I I'm very much about a small circle of people around me,
Okay.
um, and even smaller when it comes to people making choices for me. I think there's only one or two people that could ever really influence the choice I make. That's my best
Mm,
friend from since I was 3 years old and my husband. Um, Honestly, don't trust people enough to make choices based on what's better for me. But
yeah.
I am a programmer, so I know how randomizing works.
There you have it.
The wrong question for me.
Right.
So I know how it works, so I trust that method a lot more.
Yeah. I will
Mhm.
probably agree with you on that one. Um, would you rather be handcuffed to your worst enemy for life or be separated from your entire family for life?
Handcuffed to my worst enemy for life. You can always change their opinion or cut them off physically. I mean, one of the two. Because separated from your family for life, um, that would create and you're speaking to someone who has suffered loss, and loss
Hmm.
is horrible. It's something that can really kill you slowly and very quickly. But being handcuffed to your enemy, to your worst enemy, um, hey, come on, maybe in the end you'll figure out that it was just pride, and the pride will
Yeah.
just get etched away while you're being handcuffed to each other with time, and you'll
You're
probably
right.
end up having a good time. So I would go with that.
Okay. Um, would you rather have would you rather never have internet access again or never be able to take an airplane
Ooh.
again?
Okay, wait. So take an airplane specifically, right? You can travel with other means, isn't it?
Right. And
Mm. Then I would rather take what was the first choice again?
never have internet access again, or would you never be able to take an airplane again?
Oh hell no. I would rather be the never take an airplane again. I go traveling. I mean, my husband's a sailor. We can take a boat and go. Probably a fine big dog.
Okay.
Um, but never having internet access. Do you know how much information you would lose
Yeah.
on that? And it's not like crappy TikTok or like Instagram scrolling or something that I would miss. I would miss the ability to contact people in other countries so easily, that
Right. Yeah.
family and friends in different countries, or sharing moments with them, right? Like sending
Right.
pictures of what you're doing in WhatsApp to someone my best friend who's living in Egypt, right? That
Hmm.
that would be a big no go. but I can travel to Egypt by car.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
That
it's
would.
an airplane, so you still got helicopters and you know
Oh, look at you!
SpaceX.
I didn't think about that. Helicopter, duh. Yeah, that would work too. Good question. Mean.
Would you rather lose your phone in a club or your wallet?
Hmm. I would rather lose my wallet. I can replace all the credit cards on there, right?
Yeah.
I don't, since I lost one very important picture of mine, I never carry pictures or personal items like that in a wallet.
Mm,
Um, but at least with a phone, I'd be able to call for help if anything. You
true.
can't use the credit card to call for help.
Yeah. Yeah. And then you could just, use your phone to cancel everything. And a
Well,
lot of people are using the digital wallet now too. So
you see,
you
that's
have it
unfair.
all in
You've
one.
had time to think about those questions.
No, I
I
did.
didn't. And now I sound stupid, and you sound like you thought it through. Helicopters, and you can call your phone to cancel the credit card. This is unfair. You should answer. Suffer
Trust
with my
me,
answer.
I'm just randomly going through these things. But that was it for those questions. I thanks for playing, partaking in that little fun
That was
section
fun.
of the show. Um, do you want to tell everybody what you have going on or where they can reach out to you?
Sure. I will I be able to share some contacts with you so that you can maybe also
Oh
have
yeah,
it available,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah. I put it all in the show notes.
All right. You can very easily, and probably the most easy way, since my surname is so simple, find me under the modernengineers.com or .de. It's actually, it will just bring you to our coming soon website still. You can have the modern engineers with dashes, without dashes. It will still bring you to the same website, so it's quite easy to get there. And you can then easily just hit the contact us, and it literally comes to us. We're a small company, so that would be one way to reach out. Gladly, I will share my LinkedIn, my Instagram, and gladly reach out. I would love to talk to you about IT consulting, about what to study, about what you need to do, or just have a chat about what the job is, because there's just so much about it and so many branches, and IT consulting as a word or as a title doesn't really encompass that.
Hmm.
Um, and it is a global thing. It's not just in Germany. So I would gladly help you. Um, and I would gladly help advise young girls, young women how to get into IT, or older women how to get into IT, and where best to find resources to learn about it and study about it, where best to start, how to start. Please do contact me. I would love that.
Nice. I'll definitely put all of that in the show notes, and when I share it on LinkedIn and everything, make sure I tag you in the post and
Brilliant.
um, you know connect with you on there as well. So if you could hang around after, and we'll do the little voiceover thing.
Gladly.
Alrighty. Well, Farida, I appreciate it. Once again, I had a great time.
Me too.
I always have a good time with my guests on here, but today was like especially a good time. We did a lot of good laughing and shared some
Yeah.
great stories and everything. So I appreciate you coming on, and I'll definitely have to keep in touch.
Yes, please. I love what you're doing. I followed your page as soon as I saw you, and definitely gonna read The Struggle is Real now, because you piqued my interest with relating it to what we were talking about. So I'm definitely feel like really relatable, and I enjoyed our talk too, and I really hope we can do that sometime again.
Yeah, for sure. I'm trying to start thinking of panels. So
Ooh,
I was like kind of like thinking of some stuff that you were talking about and brought up that I could potentially do a panel around, or just get some feedback from you to see if you have any ideas around some panel topics that you would like to be a part
definitely.
of. So yeah, I
Would love that.
yeah, I've been interviewing people, so I have to go back and like, get this stuff organized, like who could come back for a panel, the topic, and all that. So that's something that I'll be working on this summer, and we'll probably try to launch it around the end of the year. What
Yeah,
I want to do is start going live with these, especially like the panels, so we could get maybe some input from people who are listening.
definitely. Oh,
And my
I've lost you
internet's
for a
freezing up
second.
again. Oh, my internet froze up for a minute there, but
Now I heard up until we get feedback from people for
oh,
the
I was
panel.
just saying that I was saying that I plan on going live with these, so like on
Yeah.
YouTube and Facebook and Twitch, and get feedback from the audience and the people listening, and have them maybe ask questions and chime in, however that might work. But I'll do some test runs on that
Mm,
before
do
I
that
actually
because I
do it.
think it's a lot more approachable to see AC faces
Hmm.
rather than only audio, and um, especially by the way you talk, which is quite a calm, kind of an interesting voice and way of speaking. It'll be awesome to actually see and visualize you at the same time. I think that makes it so much more impactful. I've used that word way too many times today, but I think that would be a good way to go. What you're talking about now and the live. I mean, you are of course experienced with this and the way you talk and getting the right people in the live. Hey, come on, even the mistakes can be funny. So yeah, I think it's a good idea.
Cool. I appreciate that. You did cut out. You were saying something about the way that I talk is
Yeah,
calm, and
yeah. Did you not? Okay. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. Yeah.
Okay, I was saying that you have this kind of the way that you talk is kind of this calm and interesting voice, but to get that with a vision and visualize
Hmm.
that would be a lot more impactful. And I said I use that word impactful a little bit too much today, but um, I think you are trying to make an impact. And if you do
Yeah.
this visualizing and this streaming and maybe even live streaming it, even the mistakes in talking and in interviews can be quite interesting and funny too. So, and I think
You're right.
it works very well with you. So I think it's a good idea, a good way to go.
Cool. Well, again, thanks for being on the show, and I hope you enjoy the rest of
Thank
your
you for
night and
having
get
me.
some sleep over there.